Welcome to Dollar Side Hustle, your go-to podcast for all things side hustle.
Today, we're diving deep into a really crucial aspect of running a successful side gig, understanding and managing your spending.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to unpack some, really practical insights that will help you pinpoint exactly where your side hustle money is going, and maybe more importantly, how to actually take control of it.
Absolutely. This is often where things either click or they don't for a side hustle, right? It's not just about the fun part, the earning. It's, I'd argue, maybe even more important to get a clear handle on the outgoings.
Okay.
Because when you really get your spending, you unlock the power to make smart decisions. You can see what's actually making money and, guide your side hustle towards your goals without feeling swamped by the finances all the time.
Okay, let's unpack that. One of the core ideas here, it seems pretty fundamental.
Yeah.
The main reason people and, by extension, side hustles hit financial trouble is, well, pretty simple. Spending more than they earn.
Sounds obvious, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's so common. Right. So let's make it real. For your side hustle listener,
Yeah.
are your expenses constantly just eating up your income? Maybe even pushing you into the red?
Exactly. You might see money coming in, which
Yeah,
feels
yeah,
good,
nice.
right? Encouraging. But the real story, that comes out when you look closely at what's going out. Even those little expenses, the ones you barely notice, they stack up. They can seriously hit your bottom line.
Which brings us to something that sounds non-negotiable.
It really is. You have to track your spending meticulously.
Right. So if your side hustle income is only just covering the bills, let's say,
Yeah.
then detailed tracking isn't just like a nice to have. It's absolutely vital, isn't it?
Totally vital. It's how you get that crystal clear view. Are you actually breaking even, or are there hidden leaks? Little things draining your potential without you realizing it.
Okay, so how do people actually do that? What are some good ways to track effectively?
Well, there are lots of ways. A simple spreadsheet works great for many people. Just, diligently logging every single expense.
Old school but effective.
It is. Or if you want something more automated, there are tons of budgeting apps, software specifically for small businesses. They can really streamline things.
So the tool doesn't matter as much as the habit.
Exactly. The tool is secondary.
Mm-hmm.
The crucial part, no matter what you use, is consistency. Make it a habit. Log every cost tied to your side hustle.
Every single one, even tiny ones.
Especially the tiny ones sometimes. That coffee you bought for a client meeting, the stamps for shipping, that monthly fee for the design tool you need. They seem small alone, but together they can be a huge drain over time. I mean, some studies show small businesses underestimate recurring costs by like 10–15%.
And 15%, that's actually quite a bit. It really is like those tiny drips adding up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so building on this, seeing the whole picture, you mentioned bringing all spending obligations together in one place. Why is that aggregated view so helpful?
Because your side hustle doesn't live in a bubble, right?
Yeah.
It's probably tangled up with your personal finances somehow.
Usually, yeah.
So by pulling all your spending together, side hustle stuff, personal bills, maybe loan payments, you get this complete, unfiltered look at where all your money, including the side hustle income, is actually going. That bigger picture makes it way easier to spot where you might be able to cut back or adjust things in the side hustle budget specifically. It gives you context.
Okay, that makes sense. It sort of leads naturally into budgeting then.
It does.
Now, budget, that word,
Hmm.
for a lot of people it sounds restrictive, like punishment almost.
I know, it gets a bad rap.
But the way we're looking at it here is different. It's about you taking control, right? Using spending to hit your side hustle goals. Can you expand on that? Like budgeting as empowerment.
Absolutely. Forget restriction. Think of a budget as your side hustle's financial roadmap.
Okay.
It's you consciously deciding how your income gets used instead of just, wondering where it all went at the end of the month.
Right. Being intentional.
Exactly. You set up a budget. You're basically grabbing the steering wheel. You direct the funds to what's actually critical for success. And if something's not in the budget, well, that forces you to stop and ask, is this really necessary for hitting my bigger goals?
So it forces choices.
It forces conscious choices. Some people really like zero-based budgeting for this. Every single dollar gets a job. Nothing's left unaccounted for.
That sounds intense, but clear. So it's about being intentional. And that ties right into prioritizing goals, doesn't it?
Directly.
Because sometimes that urge to spend now is strong. It can overshadow the bigger things you want for your side hustle down the line.
Okay.
How does the budget keep those priorities straight?
Well, your budget becomes the reflection of your vision. Your allocations should mirror what you say your priorities are.
Okay.
If the main goal is reinvesting, say, 20% for growth or saving for that key piece of equipment, then your budget needs to clearly show money set aside for that. Earmarked, exactly. If you keep giving in to impulse spending that doesn't line up with those goals, well, the goals just stay goals, right? They don't happen. The budget is like that constant reminder, hey, remember what we decided was most important?
Like setting intentions, but with dollars and cents.
Ah.
Okay, another really practical point. Saving for unexpected stuff.
Oh, yeah. The curveballs.
We all know things pop up unexpectedly in life, but how does this apply specifically to a side gig? And what's the key to handling those surprises?
Well, just like personal finance, your side hustle will hit unexpected costs. It's almost guaranteed.
Like what?
Could be anything. A sudden great marketing opportunity you need cash for now.
Yeah.
A critical software needing an urgent upgrade. Your main piece of equipment breaks down.
Yeah. The worst.
Right. So by proactively putting aside some side hustle income into a dedicated emergency fund, you build a cushion. It absorbs those shocks without completely derailing you. A financial buffer, exactly. And the crucial follow-up, like we said, is you have to replenish that fund after you use it. Think of it as your side hustle safety net. Got to keep it strong.
That makes so much sense. Build the buffer, use it, rebuild it. Okay, let's talk about actually making the budget. People often say it takes a few tries, revisions. Why is it usually an iterative process?
Yeah, it's rare to nail it first time.
Why is that?
Well, because you're trying to predict and manage something that can be pretty dynamic. You know, your income might fluctuate month to month.
Especially with side hustles.
Especially. Your expenses might change as you grow or pivot. And honestly, your own understanding of what you truly need financially just gets better over time.
So don't get discouraged if the first draft isn't perfect.
Absolutely not. Revisions are normal, healthy even. The single most critical thing is ending up with a budget that's realistic, something you can actually stick to day to day.
Really?
Yeah. And that often means compromise. You might have to cut back on some nice-to-haves to free up funds for the really important stuff, the things that drive your side hustle's financial health.
Compromise. Trade-offs. Got it.
Yeah.
I'll say, let's shift gears a bit to some really practical ways to reduce spending. These analogies are interesting. First one, prepare your own meals. How does that apply to a side hustle?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's a good one, right? So for a side hustler, preparing your own meals often means doing tasks yourself, at least initially, instead of immediately outsourcing.
Like DIY.
Exactly. Like maybe handling your own admin for the first few months instead of hiring a VA right away, or doing your own basic social media updates.
So you're comparing the cost.
You're weighing the ingredient price, which is your own time and effort, against the actual dollar cost of outsourcing. It's about deciding strategically when and what makes sense to delegate based on the ROI, the return on investment. Lots of side hustlers save a ton early on by doing their own marketing groundwork, for example.
That's a really smart way to think about it. Time versus money. Okay, next strategy. Clean out the fridge. What kind of side hustle fridge items are we talking about?
Oh, the digital fridge is often full. Think about all those subscriptions, software trials you started, online courses you enrolled in with great intentions.
Like tea.
We all are. But you haven't actually used them in weeks or months. That monthly fee for a premium feature you touch maybe once. The marketing tool gathering digital dust.
Yeah.
Those are the perishables in your financial fridge. You need to regularly audit those recurring expenses and be ruthless. Cancel what's not giving you real value.
Be honest with yourself.
Totally. And make a clear choice. Am I doing this myself or am I paying for a tool service? Don't get caught paying for something you don't use while also trying to do it yourself anyway. That's double waste.
Oof, yeah, good point. It's so easy to let those subscriptions just run. Okay, how about look for food bargains? How can side hustlers be savvy shoppers?
Food bargains for your side hustle means actively hunting for cost-effective options, like using free marketing tools when you start out. There are tons. Looking for discounted software, lots of companies have startup or freelancer rates, exploring open source alternatives to pricey programs.
Doing your homework.
Always. Research, compare prices before you commit. Don't just grab the fanciest, most expensive option by default. Being resourceful, especially early on, saves serious cash.
Resourcefulness is key. Okay, next one. Consider alternative to expensive transportation. How do we minimize those kinds of costs?
Yeah, transportation can mean different things here. Think about networking. Can you network effectively online in communities or forums instead of paying for expensive conferences right away?
Online versus in-person costs.
Right. Or marketing, can you lean on free channels like creating content, organic social media, before you dump a lot of money into paid ads?
Sweat equity first.
Kinda, yeah. It's about thinking creatively. How can you reach your goals using the resources you already have access to, often for free or very cheap? A little ingenuity saves a lot on those transportation costs of doing business.
Maximizing free resources. Makes sense. Another strategy. Shop around for insurance. What insurance might a side hustle need, and why shop around?
Well, depending on what you do, you might need general liability, maybe professional indemnity, sometimes called E&O, maybe even cyber insurance these days.
Okay.
And just like your car insurance, you absolutely should get quotes from multiple providers every year.
Every year?
Ideally, yeah, because rates and policies change. What was the best deal last year might not be this year. Shopping around can save you significant money for the exact same or better coverage. Don't just auto-renew without checking.
That's good advice. Easy to overlook, but potentially big savings. The list also mentions freezing spending. That sounds intense.
That is a more intense measure, yeah. A spending freeze means you basically hit pause. You stop all non-essential spending for your side hustle for a set period.
When would you do that?
You do it if things feel like they're really getting out of control, if your spending has just ballooned and you need to slam on the brakes to regain control.
So you have to define essential.
Crucially, yes. You have to be brutally honest.
Right.
What is the absolute bare minimum I need for this thing to function? And then cut everything else temporarily. It's like hitting a financial reset button.
A reset. Okay. And the last strategy. Create a shopping list and stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
How does this apply to business buying?
It applies perfectly. Before you buy anything for this side hustle, new software, supplies, maybe an ad campaign stop, define exactly what you need. Make a list.
Plan the purchase.
Plan it out. And here's the kicker. You have to then stick to that list. No impulse buys. No getting lured in by shiny objects or deals on things you didn't plan to get.
Resisting temptation.
Exactly. Stick to your defined needs. It stops wasteful spending, keeps your budget focused on what actually moves the needle for your side hustle.
That's great practical stuff. Okay, as we start to wrap this up, let's hit one final but really fundamental concept, that income to obligations ratio. Why is knowing that ratio so important for checking your side hustle's health?
It's maybe the most basic health check there is. You need to know. Does my side hustle income significantly beat my total obligations? Does it just barely cover them? Or, uh-oh, does it fall short?
It's the bottom line, really.
It really is. A healthy ratio where income is comfortably higher than outgoings suggests you're on solid ground.
That's comfortable. Is there a number?
Well, it varies, but maybe a ratio above, say, 1.5 could suggest a decent buffer. If it's just hovering around 1 where income equals obligations, that's vulnerable. No breathing room.
And less than 1.
Less than 1 is a flashing red light. Obligations are more than income. That screams take action now. Either boost income fast or cut spending hard, or both, to avoid real financial trouble.
So the big takeaway here seems really clear. Understanding and then actively managing your side hustle spending. It's just the bedrock, isn't it? The foundation for any financial success with it.
Absolutely fundamental.
By tracking expenses diligently, building that realistic, prioritized budget, and always looking for ways to trim unnecessary costs, you're basically empowering yourself. You're taking control to reach those goals you're working so hard for.
Precisely. It's about owning your financial story. One tracked expense, one mindful spending choice at a time.
Okay, so we really hope you, the listener, take these ideas and start putting them into action. Like today, start tracking. Sketch out a budget, even a rough one. Look for 1 or 2 costs you could cut. And hey, if you're getting value from these deep dives, please do take a second to like and subscribe to Dollar Side Hustle. It really helps us out.
It does, yeah.
We also have some side hustle links in the show notes you might want to check out. Their tools and resources we think are helpful. Just so you know, these are affiliate links. So if you happen to purchase something through them, we might get a small commission, and that helps us keep the lights on and continue making this content for you.
Every little bit helps keep the info flowing. Thanks for understanding.
Absolutely. And finally, we always like to leave you with something to think about. So here it is. How will gaining a truly clearer, more detailed picture of your side hustle spending? How will that fundamentally reshape the strategic decisions you make for its future growth and ultimately its profitability?
Good question.
Mull that over, and we will catch you next time right here on Dollar Side Hustle.